Welcome to the Keystone Education Report, where Pennsylvania's education leaders come together to address the key issues shaping our schools. Today, we're spotlighting the tools and challenges surrounding school safety, from empowering students to speak up through Safe2Say Something to addressing the alarming rise in school swatting incidents across the Commonwealth. Joining us is Pennsylvania's Attorney General, Dave Sunday. With a career rooted in prosecution and a personal commitment to protecting students, General Sunday brings a unique perspective to the critical conversation through his philosophy of accountability and redemption. Thank you, General, for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Let's start by talking about Safe2Say Something.
Sure.
We've got people that probably have never heard of this, that don't really get into the school environment. What is it?
So very simply, the Safe2Say Something program is a program that allows kids in school to anonymously report issues that come up. In particular, this is with, they might see a fellow student who they're afraid may have mental health issues and may be contemplating suicide. It may be a situation where they might hear a fellow student say something that worries them about that student potentially causing harm to the school or other students in the school.
Sure.
And so it's a reporting system, and it's, like I said, it's anonymous, and it has been absolutely fantastic all throughout Pennsylvania. So far this year, I believe we've had over 7,000 Safe2Say incidents reported. Now, obviously not all of those turn into serious incidents,
Sure.
but it's very important. And it's a tool essentially that allows children to be empowered and to be part of the solution and to communicate directly with the people that they need to communicate with to keep our school safe.
And it's not a brand new program, right? It's been around a couple of years.
Yep, it's been around for a few years now.
And I imagine it's taken a little time for it to, I don't want to say catch on, but for people to really understand in the schools what it is, how it works.
Yes.
And you've seen it kind of grow in use, you said, to
a
lot of reports this year.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that like any initiative that you start, regardless of what it is, that's different, it takes time to get that to permeate through everyone's daily life. And so I will tell you that schools have been outstanding. We're all partners in this, working together to keep children safe. And so I'm very proud of this initiative, and I'm proud to continue it as Attorney General.
So talk to me a little about, as you think about the Safe2Say service, the impact it makes on the broader agenda I know you have of keeping schools safe.
Absolutely.
What is this? How does it fit into your broader agenda?
Oh, this is absolutely critical. So I'll give you an example without giving specifics.
Sure.
That occurred this year. So we had an incident where a student overheard another student talk about potentially shooting up a school, essentially. And we were able to, through that report that was made by the other student, immediately get to the potential shooter, and that individual did have a weapon on them. It was removed from that person. That person obviously is now being prosecuted.
Sure.
And so those are the type of things, because, as a career prosecutor, I can tell you that when an incident happens and it lands on our desk, it's too late to keep that harm from occurring in the first place.
Okay.
And so even though we want to be as effective as possible in prosecuting and holding people accountable, especially as a parent, I can say none of us would want to even be in that situation in the first place. And that's why this is so important, because it gives school districts, it gives teachers, it gives law enforcement, prosecutors, everyone the ability to intervene prior to something terrible happening. And at the same time, it empowers students to be a part of that solution, which I think is a really, really critical component to this.
So I think what you said I want to highlight. It's really about prevention. Much of what we hear about with school safety is, unfortunately, something has occurred. Reacting afterwards and kind of that day after, that week after, how do we go back and understand it? But this is really a key tool in you hopefully getting in front of something that might have happened.
Absolutely. And it's not just violence towards a school, it's also a student potentially committing violence towards themselves.
Sure.
And so, there are a lot of incidents that come up where, the data shows that typically before someone does something, they've somehow communicated that either to, a parent or a teacher or typically a fellow student. And now that, children are starting to really understand their role in this, we have a lot of situations where one student may have overheard another student talk about how depressed they were, how maybe, it might be better to not live anymore. And so that allows that student to anonymously let the school know that this is occurring, and schools obviously react instantly on that to help get that other person the help that they need. And so that's why this is so unbelievably important. I can tell you as a parent that, and as formerly a child, like all of us were, we all know that there are things that kids do that they don't tell their parents about.
Sure.
Like all day long. However, there are things that kids do that the other kids see. They hear them, they're around them all day at school. It's the ecosystem of school life, and it provides a great opportunity to help other kids when it does come up.
And this is monitored 24/7. You've
Yeah,
got
yeah,
you've got a
absolutely.
team of people in your office
Yes.
that are live. This isn't
No.
Electronic, AI, whatever you have. People need to understand you've got a team of actual real people
That's correct.
responding. And you talk to the districts really as soon as the call comes in day and night.
Absolutely. This is a collaborative approach between law enforcement and the school districts. And so, because obviously that is the most effective way to handle these situations and also to prevent them in the future, is by everybody working together on these issues. And so that's exactly what it is. I always want to remind people, when there is an emergency, call 911.
Right.
And so, this is another path to get help and prevent issues. But if something's happening, I always want to let people know that call 911. That is the fastest way to get help.
I would imagine, I know you travel all over the state all the time. That's part of the position that you hold.
Yep.
You've got to have had feedback and stories from parents or administrators as this program has been utilized with all of the calls that you get. What do you hear from schools about it?
We hear, so I can tell you that through my first 10 months in office, Safe2Say program has been one of the top things that are discussed with me when I am speaking with anyone affiliated with a school. The initiative itself is something that, like I said, has prevented a lot of issues. We've had situations where kids have called in anonymously and said that a young person was concerned about another young person's mental health. And so we were able to obviously get that information immediately to the school district, to work through the school counselor, and to get that child and the family the resources that they needed. And that's an important part of this, to get the child and the family the resources they needed.
Where does this go from here? So obviously it's a powerful tool, it's impactful. I've got to think as technology continues to evolve rapidly,
Right.
what do you see in the future with Safe2Say?
Well, I think that the success of Safe2Say will always be rooted in the fellow students' knowledge that this is a tool they have. And so, we live in a world where technology is rapidly advancing. But what I will say is that the root of it will always be that peer-on-peer identification and knowledge and relationships. And so regardless of what happens around us or what happens online, again, the more that school districts, schools, teachers, children, and their families know that this is an option, then just the better we'll be and the more effective it will be.
I want to talk to you a little bit before we run out of
Yep.
time on swatting.
Okay.
We hear about that happening in schools from time to time. Obviously, it involves your office.
It does.
As this happens. What's your first thought when you hear about a swatting incident as Attorney General?
Well, to begin with, swatting for some kids that do this, and it's not all kids that do it. I want to start out by saying swatting is an extremely serious thing, and it's not a joke. It's not a game that can be played. It's taken very, very seriously. Oftentimes, a swatting incident, and for those that don't know what that is, that's when someone might call into 911 and say that there's a shooting at a place, and then the police will respond accordingly, and they have to take every single call seriously. And so what happens, some people make that call and it's fake. It's not real. And so what happens then is you have this response. You have, for law enforcement, every time someone responds to something, that means they're not available to respond to something else.
Right.
In addition to that, you have the people on the other side of it at a school. I know recently we had a swatting incident that was widely seen at Villanova. And you have students who are frightened. You have parents who are frightened. You have people with possibly PTSD from living through that experience where they didn't know if they were going to die or not on their campus. So it's very serious, and the law views it in a very serious way, and law enforcement does as well. Because remember, at the same time, when when police are responding to this, they don't know if it's swatting or not.
Right.
So they're going in there thinking that there's an active shooter. And that could result in law enforcement harming someone in the course of them doing their job lawfully to protect other people when there isn't even an incident in the first place.
Now they're flying blind, really, as
They
they
are
arrive,
flying
aren't they?
blind. You're exactly right. That's exactly right. And so that by itself, and so people could get hurt during that. And so it's very serious. Law enforcement investigates it when it's over. So if there's kids out there or whoever that think this is a fun thing to do, know that it's being investigated and you will be arrested and you'll be prosecuted.
We just talked about Safe2Say and
Yep.
being prevention. Now we're kind of talking
Yep.
about things that are unfolding in real
Exactly.
time. How do we address it from your perspective? I mean, it's a complicated issue. I know I'm
is.
asking you to
Right.
get into the minds of people that would do this,
right.
but is there anything that can be done to get in front of these incidents before somebody calls it in?
I think there's to begin with, it's education, educating kids. I mean, they live in an online world, like literally from morning to night, they're online and they're playing games online. At school, they might be online, utilizing AI potentially for different things. I mean, they live in this online cycle. They go home, they get plugged right back in. And so I think sometimes kids in particular, view the world solely through that online place. And what we have seen are situations where they sort of disconnect from the actual consequences of an action because in their mind, this is just another thing we do. People laugh at it, they see it. And it becomes very real for them when the police knock on their door and come in and arrest them and take them away from their parents.
Well, and you said earlier, it's a serious offense. This is not a slap on the wrist warning kind of situation when the police finally figure out what happened.
And we in the Attorney General's office, in my office, we have an Office of Public Engagement. And one of the things we can do is go provide trainings to schools or to parents on what swatting is, teaching people about it, why you shouldn't do it. And so that's something that's available if someone wants to reach out to the Office of Attorney General and engage with us on that.
What can be done when we think about all of these things related to safety in our schools to really educate that all of those different groups?
Well, I want to start by saying that school districts all throughout Pennsylvania are working really hard and doing a great job in proactively doing everything they can to educate kids. And so, I mean, I have seen that where we've reached out to districts and found out that they're doing amazing things. And so part one is an acknowledgement of the work that's being done. The second part of that is you can never have enough. And so I think that reaching out to your local law enforcement, to your district attorney's office, reach out to the Attorney General's office. We have programs that we can do. And I think that as a team, all of us, between educators, school districts, administration, law enforcement, all of us working together is what it's going to take to get this done.
Finally, General, as a parent and as Attorney General, what's your message to students across the state as it relates to safety, their safety in schools?
What I will say to them is this. They use technology for a lot of things that are really important, but they need to understand that what they do online lasts forever. And they also need to understand that there are many, many people, thousands and thousands of people out there that utilize the internet to try to get to them and turn them into a victim. So they need to always remember when they're online, there's a potential for someone to turn them into a victim. They don't want to ever let that happen, and to be smart and thoughtful and to listen to your parents when you're on the internet.
General, thank you for all the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It was great to be here.
Excellence isn't just a goal, it's a standard. The Great PA Schools GPS designation honors Pennsylvania public schools that go above and beyond, where rigorous academics, strong community ties, financial responsibility, and resilience come together. Today we're highlighting one of our GPS ribbon recipients, Northeast School District.
Each year, the Northeast School District comes together for something truly special, our Giving Back Day. Students, staff, and community partners unite to spark meaningful change, lending a hand wherever it is needed. This day reminds us that learning goes far beyond the classroom.
By serving others, we live our district's mission of lifelong learning and responsible citizenship. Our actions show true Great Picker pride, strengthening and enriching the community we call home. Giving Back Day shows what is possible when we work together to nurture minds and empower futures.
We're looking for the next great Pennsylvania school district. Visit greatpaschools.com to share your success story or apply for the GPS ribbon.
And welcome back to the Keystone Education Report, where we're joined by two panelists to add to the conversation on the tools and challenges surrounding school safety. Dr. Brian Upplinger is the superintendent of schools at the Hazleton Area School District, where student success, well-being, and development are at the heart of every decision he makes. And Brittany Klein is the section director of the Child Predator Section and the director of the Safe2Say Something program, tasked with the launch of the program and the development of the first 24/7 crisis center with the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General. Thank you both for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thank
Brian, let me start with you. Safe2Say Something program comes in. What has that done in terms of how your district approaches school safety and the communication around it?
I think it's key. Our students know that it's there. Our parents know that it's there. We've had parents utilize it as well. That there's a way for them to anonymously report something that has been going on, bullying, someone that may be in crisis with suicidal ideations, what have you. So it's been a very key part of continuing that safety above and beyond the classroom.
And Brittany, in the bio we talk about you helped to set up Safe2Say Something. So walk me back a little bit. Why? What led to the AG's office saying, let's do this?
Sure. Well, it was actually more of it was given to us.
Okay.
So in the state legislation, it was actually given to our office. They wanted to see it in a place where there was a little bit of law enforcement influence into the program, but also to keep it separate so it wasn't directly affiliated with law enforcement overseeing the program. So it was kind of a hybrid model that they had as far as we are completely separate from the rest of our investigations section,
Okay.
but we also do have law enforcement who are involved to help actually the development of the program and to make sure that certain things are handled when there is a time and a place for law enforcement to be involved in those situations.
And I don't want to oversimplify it, but it's a tip line. I mean, it's really for people to call in tips and information. What kind of tips do you generally see?
So we get a little bit of everything. And it was interesting because nobody really knew what to expect when we launched the program. It is geared towards a tip line to receive tips regarding school violence or something that a student would see either online or they hear it from another student about something that could indicate a threat against another person or a school. We quickly realized that it was a lot more than that. We get tips on bullying, we get a lot of tips on mental health concerns with students. We get tips about kids who are homeless or don't have food or don't have clothes and those types of things that we are able to get to schools very quickly and make sure that they can get the help to those students as soon as possible.
Brian, I know your district has been, I think, on the receiving end of tips come in, they're reaching out to you. Walk me through again, the tip kind of comes over from the Attorney General's office. What happens next?
Right. So it does. We have several people on our team, and those individuals, and I'm one of them, obviously, but we get the tip. Then we go in and take a look at what was written, how it was written, who it was written by. It might have been a parent, like I said earlier, but we get that information. And then just as recent as last week, we had one about mental health. And the parent, it was a parent that had submitted it, was worried about the mental health of another student, not in her home, it was in another home. So we had that ability, and it was quite late in the afternoon when people are leaving on a Friday. We're going, of course, this is always when it comes in. But that gave us the ability to check on the student, to send a wellness check to the home to make sure that the student was okay. And until we were able to see the student again on Monday with our counselors. And we were also hopeful that that parent would take the child to a facility if needed over the weekend.
I would think a lot of this is driven by trust, right? Trust from the community, trust from parents, and probably, I would think, mostly students. So how do you, on both sides, from a district level administrator and then kind of looking at it statewide, how do you develop and maintain that trust that people need to have to utilize this service?
Our parents especially know that we're going to take care of the situation, any situation that comes to our attention. That if it comes through the helpline, if it comes through an email, or if it comes through another system that we may have on our network, parents know and can trust that we are going to deal with it as rapidly as possible.
And looking at a statewide, I mean, how do you get the state of Pennsylvania, and that's quite an undertaking, to trust in the quality and I guess the follow-through of this project?
Sure. So we are very straightforward with our students when we do trainings to the students. We are heavily involved in training our districts if they request us to do so. Being straightforward with them, telling them how the tip line works, making sure that they know that their identity will be protected, and that's key. And also, one of the things we like to explain to students is the difference between telling on somebody and telling on somebody because we're concerned for them. And that's one of the things that is also a key component of our training, because students want to know the difference between kind of narking on a student and also telling on them because there is a concern and they need help or they need assistance from somebody else beyond another student or somebody at home. And that's really what we try to set home to these students when we are in our training, because it's very important to take that home.
I want to ask you about how do you know when to take it seriously? And I don't mean to make light of that, but I would think you get a ton of calls.
We do.
And many of them legitimate, but probably there's a couple that are less than sincerely. Sure. How does your staff figure this out? Or how do you approach it to make sure that it's taken seriously, but it's the right thing?
Sure. So we kind of divided that into two separate categories. There are categories of tips that come in that we can immediately identify as being a prank or something that is silly, right? We will still let the school know that those are coming in, but we pretty much take care of them right off the bat and let the student know that, hey, this isn't for pranks, please take your tips very seriously. Mm-hmm. The others are that come in that look real. The information seems valid, but we work with the school directly to help identify any type of issue that is coming in. We like the schools to notify us and let us know if there is an ongoing issue, either with one particular student or one particular situation that we can be aware of. And we also let our students know in the training that if there is a problem or abuse of the system that we identify, we do have authority to actually investigate those tips, either on the local level or at the Attorney General's office. And there could be consequences as a result of false reports to the system.
And I would think, going back to the kind of the district level, the community level, how do you take it seriously, address whatever it is that's being shared with you from the Attorney General's office, be as transparent as possible, but not panic the community if it's something more than just a single student issue?
Right. And again, it goes back to trust, what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
They know that if there is a situation, I'm going to let them know. There's something going on, I will give you as much information as I can, but I'm not going to feed rumors. And that's one thing that they know that I'm not going to do. And once I have all the information that I'm able to provide to them, they do get that notification from my office.
In the last segment, we talked to the Attorney General a little bit about swatting. And I wanted to, before we let you go, ask each of you about this, both kind of locally and then what you're seeing at the state level. It seems, and maybe it's just anecdotal, but it seems to be happening a little bit more than it used to. What is your experience with it at the local level, and what can we do about it?
Right. Fortunately, we haven't had many. I'll go back maybe a year and a half now. I think it all started with us in Hazleton when there were some individuals that weren't happy with one another, so they sent out a mass email from a different country that stated that things were going to happen within the district. And that was our first taste of it. And then once that happened with our district, it just kind of snowballed with other people in northeastern PA and other districts there. So we've dealt with them accordingly, and really that's the only one that we've received. So again, we've been very, very fortunate. However, our neighbors, our colleagues of mine have not been as fortunate, and they continue to get them. So we work through them. Again, same thing. It builds on trust and alerting the community to what's happening.
And you've got to take them seriously.
Absolutely, every single one.
Even after the fact, if you find out it was nothing but not a well-intentioned prank that kind of blew up, you've still got to take every one of them seriously. And looking at it, I'm sure you get them called in. to the tip line, right?
We do. We do get information that comes in that is a threat either to another person or a school district, which we obviously have to assume is true.
Right.
We take them very serious and we alert the schools immediately so we can get the boots on the ground to address whatever is going on. We also get law enforcement involved immediately. And then if it is a situation where they get back to us and say this seems to be a prank, then we on the back end try to identify the source of that information as quickly as possible to kind of alleviate that threat that is still out there. We also have kind of adjusted in the last year or two to try to broaden our network within districts to get that information shared between district to district, because as he stated, if it affects your district, it's going to affect another one right next to you, because that threat is going to quickly spread from district to district to district. And we've shared that information to just cover our bases to make sure that your district is aware, the neighboring district is aware, so that they know this information could spread to yours, and you may have to adapt and use your emergency protocols in that situation. So we try to get into the broader network of sharing that information as it comes in. It seems to be a trend, so it will be one social media threat that's out there that students will take and they'll adapt to their own school, and it will continue to snowball until, I think last year one of them was a statewide threat. Every school district in the state from Western Pennsylvania to Eastern Pennsylvania was actually experiencing one of the same threats. It was just being shared from student to student to student, and they were using it as if it was towards their own school. So we try to quickly share that information ahead of time so that schools know, hey, this could be coming to your district, just be aware, and that this trend is out there. We share that with law enforcement as well, and we share that with the state police so that they can also pass that information along as quickly as possible.
A serious challenge,
It is.
but good stuff on Safe to Say. Thank you both for being here.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Thank you for
Thank you.
having us.
Excellence isn't just a goal, it's a standard. The Great PA Schools GPS designation honors Pennsylvania public schools that go above and beyond, where rigorous academics, strong community ties, financial responsibility, and resilience come together. Today we're highlighting one of our GPS ribbon recipients, New Hope-Solebury School District.
At New Hope-Solebury School District, preparing students for the future is at the heart of what we do. From the moment they enter kindergarten until graduation, students experience hands-on learning that connects them to the real world. Recognized for our forward-thinking approach, students explore possibilities and build skills through our career pathway programs, which include guest speakers, career fairs, and lunch and learn sessions. We are proud to offer dynamic programs like RISE, which give our students the chance to learn from their mentors and professionals in their fields of interest.
Each student's journey culminates with APEX, Active Personal Educational Experience, now celebrating its 10th year. Over the past decades, hundreds of students have experienced careers across sales, marketing, medicine, research, the arts, criminal justice, and so much more. During this 3-week internship, seniors step beyond the classroom to study something meaningful, guided by their own essential questions. They log their experience, reflect on their learning, and share their discoveries with underclassmen, inspiring the next generation of Lions to dream big.
At New Hope-Solebury School District, preparing students for their future starts early and lasts a lifetime.
We're looking for the next great Pennsylvania school district. Visit greatpaschools.com to share your success story or apply for the GPS ribbon.
Thanks for tuning in to the Keystone Education Report. Today, we tackled the complex realities of keeping schools safe, from giving students a voice through programs like Safe2Say Something to confronting the growing threat of swatting incidents across Pennsylvania. Join us next time as we continue to unpack the issues and opportunities shaping public education throughout the Commonwealth.